Somebody sent me a video the other day, and it was of a gentleman. I don't know who he was or where he was. It was just simply saying something very interesting. Why is it that we have to pay anything when we're born onto this planet just to live? Just to live. I mean, I'm thinking of things like the council tax. You know, there we are in our house. Why is it that we have to pay anything just to live? You can't buy a place to put a roof over your head without having to part with money. Why is that? It's very strange, isn't it? And I suppose it's because we're told to. We're told to by people. That's what you've got to do. You've got to pay. You've got to pay taxes to somebody else in smoke-filled rooms somewhere, I don't know where, have decided that you, somebody who's got nothing to do with them, have got to pay, and have got to pay them, and then they can make the decisions of what they do with that money. It does seem very odd. I mean, you don't see animals doing it. We know this, don't we? You don't see a fox or a badger or a rabbit or a squirrel thinking, oh, blimey, I'm living in this tree, or I'm living in this badger set, or I'm living in this hole, or I'm just wandering around wherever and sleeping wherever my weary head takes me. Oh, maybe I ought to be paying for this. I'll get myself a job and go and work for somebody else, and then I'll give a portion of that to these people, because if I don't, they'll come along with big sticks and cause me mischief. You don't see that, do you? So why is it that man, and woman of course, feel that they have to do the same? Why is it we've allowed somebody else to create, what would you call it, a system, I suppose? A system. Well, we do it because when we're born, our mums and dads, they say to us, oh, actually, this is how it works. This is how the world works. These people have decided this is what we've got to do. And we ought to really be turning around and go, well, hang on a minute. I wasn't there when they made that decision. It's got nothing to do with me. I can't help the fact that I've just been born into this world, on this planet, on this piece of land, that it seems to me the only person who has any claim to that land whatsoever is the maker of it, the creator. Maybe you call that God. You might call it the universe. You might call it the Big Bang Theory. I don't know. Whatever you want to call it, the source. It seems that's the only owner, the creator of this land that we're sitting on, can have any jurisdiction whatsoever. And the only jurisdiction that we can give anybody is if we acquiesce or we consent. And we say, do you know what, actually, you've got this system and I'm going to agree to it. I'm going to go along with it. I'm going to agree that you can tell me exactly what to do, when to do it, how long I can do it for, and how much I've got to pay for the privilege of doing any of it that you want me to do. I think that we're coming to this point where people are beginning to become much more aware now that there is a system in place, that it wasn't designed and created by us, that other men and women should not have dominance over anybody else. I mean, we talk about the slave stuff. You go, oh, blimey, you know, those people, they were slave owners and they were terrible. And we've been toppling statues, haven't we not, into the waters and rivers on the backs of quaysides because we're all so pious and holier than thou and going, oh. But haven't we realised that we are, in fact, slaves ourselves? That if we acquiesce and give jurisdiction to these people who have their own system and their secret language and the way that words mean different things, that if we acquiesce to that, aren't we just going along with it? We're just saying, oh, I'm happy to be in your system. Yes, oh, you've sent me a demand for some payment to live in a house. Oh, right, okay, no worries. Yes, I feel duty bound to pay and contribute to it. And what is it? Oh, blimey, it's a bit too much. I'm not sure I can pay that. Oh, well, if you don't pay, you're going to beat me with sticks or take me to something called a court where people are going to dress up in fancy dress and then they're going to sort of pretend to have some, I don't know, some superficial authority over me. And then at the end of it, if I don't comply to their wishes, they'll put me away and put me behind bars and restrict my liberty. Doesn't seem fair, does it? I mean, who gave them permission to do that? Seeing as we're all born equal, we're all born the same, pretty much. None of us, I don't think, were born as gods or so some people do actually think that they are gods and walk among us as if they own the blooming place, own the roads, own the right to stop you in the street and say, excuse me, are you walking your dog? Oh, well, I'm from the council. Yes, you can't walk your dog unless you've got a poo bag. And if you haven't got a poo bag, I'm going to fine you 100 quid, as one of my viewers told me in an email. I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it? We must be surely at this stage now where people are going, we've had medical interventions pushed upon us. People have been saying, oh, is that what we've got to do in order to save our granny, in order to save the old people, in order to save babies, in order to save other people? I've got to take something which has not been properly tested, that's come at warp speed, that actually may or may not be good for me, because how do you know? And you can't prove it, but you're just telling me I've got to, or I lose my job, or I lose my friends, or I lose my standing in the community, or I'll just be ridiculed by all and sundry. I've got to do it, have I? Is that what that's what it is that I've got to take? But actually, it might not be beneficial to me. And even now, when perhaps other things might be coming down the line, you know, more of these sort of so-called, what can you call them, viruses or pandemics or these things that we'll be told, oh, is far worse than the one you had before. Oh, no, it's dreadful. Oh, it really is bad. We'll show you some images on a screen that will convince you that actually you have to do as we say. Otherwise, we get the big sticks out again and beat you, because you're slaves, because you have to do as we say, because actually no man is equal. We're more equal than you. Well, when did that come about? When did that come about, that suddenly other people are more equal to us? I mean, unless we agree, unless we consent to it, unless we say, yeah, no, that's fine, beat me with your sticks, unless we do that, they have no rights over us. They have no more rights than we do over them. It's not for me to tell them what to do and what medical interventions to take and any of that nonsense. It's not for me to go knocking on their door and say, excuse me, I don't know you from Adam, but please will you give me 500 quid, or I'm going to take your van away, or your car, or I'm going to come in and take your possessions. I have no right to do that, and they have no right to do that either. Unless, of course, you say, no, come on in, take whatever you want. Of course I'm subservient to you. It is a strange world that we've allowed this to happen, that we've allowed ourselves to be feeling that we've got to be part of their system, their way of doing things, that we cannot be individuals, that we cannot think for ourselves, that we have to put our children into institutions to make them good slaves so that they put their hand up if they need to just do a natural biological function, like have a wee-wee, or a pee-pee, or whatever you want to call the euphemism for having a slash or a piss or whatever it is, that we train our children. We train our children by sending them to these institutions where the teacher seems to have the right to be able to say, oh, masturbation, don't be shy, give it a try. Yeah, no, it's very good for you. It's very odd that we allowed this to happen, that we're in this situation, because I think that actually if we started to think for ourselves, if we actually started to use a bit of critical thinking, if we actually started to stand up as ourselves and say, do you know what? No, you were born just as I was born, naked, with nothing. We'll all both go to the grave with nothing. We are living on this earth as an experience. We're all spiritual beings in these flesh and blood bodies. And in the meantime, you have no right to tell me what to do, as I have no right to tell you what to do. Perhaps we can come to some arrangement. Yeah, you know, if I live in this community, maybe I can contribute. Maybe if I feel like it, I could. Maybe I feel duty bound to help a little bit. But I'm not going to be told exactly what to do, when to pay. And if I don't pay it, then you're going to come and snatch me away and put me behind bars because somehow I've been a bad person. I think we've got to start thinking who we are. Who are you? Who are you and what do you stand for? And are you standing for the nonsense that seems to be pushed down to us? Or are you standing up for yourself and your fellow man who feels the same? Because we have a right to be here. We have a right not to be in their system. We have a complete right. We don't need to show it. We don't get our rights from anybody else. They are our inherent rights. They're our inalienable rights, if you like. They've been given to us by whatever created us. And here we are having this amazing and wonderful experience, and we shouldn't let these sort of dead entities who've got themselves together and made up their own system and tell us what to do. Time to get out of that system. Time to live in our own private worlds and get on with our lives and not be bullied by these idiots who pretend and think that they have better powers and more rights and more authority over us.